world celebrate the legacy of historical revolution leader Fidel Castro on his 99th birth anniversary. Venezuela announced the beginning of a crusade against disinformation in view of the discrediting campaigns against the country. In Gaza, health authorities confirm more than 500 minors are currently hospitalized due to hunger and malnutrition amid the ongoing Israeli aid blockade. Hello and welcome to From the South. My name is Belén de los Santos. I'm from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We'll begin with the news. Cuba and the world celebrate the legacy of the historical revolution leader Fidel Castro on his 99th birth anniversary. Fidel was born on August 13, 1926 in Biran in the province of Holguin, which today hosts the main commemorative acts in his honor. From there, the authorities of the Cuban Communist Party highlighted the revolutionary leader's struggle against the imperialist interest of the United States on the island and in favor of its peoples. Tributes to the revolutionary strategist are also expected and happening across the world as he became a symbol of global resistance, whose political and ideological legacy continues to guide Cuba's defense of sovereignty and independence. Photographic exhibition All the Glory of the World by Alex Castro Soto del Valle was inaugurated at the José Martí Memorial in Havana. Our correspondent Fabiola López with more.
Son 50 fotografías que al decir de expertos.
There are 50 photographs that, according to experts, transcend the documentary to become visual poetry. These are images that move many people. His son, a photographer, captured them in the privacy of their home. They show Fidel doing what he loved most at the end of his life, researching, reading, talking with young people, and sharing his knowledge. Alex wants people to see not only the work of the leader as a statesman, but also the man who wanted to transform the world.
Como estadista, también al hombre que quiso transformar el mundo.
Él nunca dejó de trabajar, nunca dejó de
He never stopped working, never stopped researching, never stopped teaching, and never stopped enjoying that time with people, sharing his experiences. He did this practically until the last days of his life.
Su experiencia. Eso lo hizo prácticamente hasta los últimos días de su vida.
Toda la gloria del mundo muestra a un
All the
Fidel.
glory of the world shows a Fidel free of artifices, without poses. He converses, reflects, thinks. The boundaries between the epic and the everyday are erased.
Nos muestra también esa dimensión del comandante.
This also shows us that very important side of the commander, which connects with all audiences, which is his humanity.
El ser humano, el extraordinario ser humano que fue siempre el
The
comandante.
extraordinary human being that the commander always was, in that relationship, is that friendship with world leaders and personalities, also with that connection with the people.
Y es ese Fidel desenfadado.
And it is that uninhibited Fidel of those moments that Alex also managed to capture, as the great artist that he is, and I believe that it is an exhibition that everyone will enjoy.
Es una exposición que todos van a disfrutar, ¿no?
Puente entre la historia pública y la experiencia
A bridge
íntima.
between public history and personal experience. Alex's photographs show Fidel in dialogue with the past, present, and future. Perhaps that is why this 6-year-old boy, also named Fidel, did not want to miss the opening.
No quiso perderse la inauguración.
Me llamo Fidel Antonio Moncarrillo.
My name is Fidel Antonio Guzman Carrillo, and today is my birthday, so I came to see the photo of Fidel Castro Ruz. And the photo I like the most is the one of Fidel with a child.
Fidel con un niño.
Son imágenes donde los gestos
These are
hablan
images where gestures speak louder than words. Through his lens, Alex shows the leader and the authentic human being experiencing moments of solemnity, introspection, and even fragility.
introspección e incluso fragilidad.
El mejor homenaje es leer a Fidel, volver sobre él.
The best tribute is to read Fidel, to return to him. He was ahead of everything in every field. He left us an exceptional legacy. It is up to us to decide whether that legacy will become something for museums or another mystery that accompanies us.
Se convierte en otro misterio que nos acompaña. Lezama decía, Martí es un misterio que nos acompaña.
Lezama said that Mart is a mystery that accompanies us. I could paraphrase Lezama and say that Fidel is another mystery that will always accompany us, and this exhibition helps to do
Esta
that.
exposición ayuda a eso. te invita a reflexionar. Es una exposición que
It invites you to reflect, it calls for a moment of spiritual concentration, of spiritual dialogue with that extraordinary man who continues to be with us.
aquel hombre extraordinario que sigue estando con nosotros.
Dicen aquí que cada imagen es una ventana
They
a
say
la
here that each image is a window into Fidel's soul, reminding us that his true strength lies in what is authentic, human, and uncompromisingly honest, a bridge between myth and man.
entre el mito y el hombre. Fabiola López, teleSUR, La Habana.
And Venezuela joins the international celebrations on the anniversary of the historic leader of the Cuban Revolution. Through an official statement, the Venezuelan government highlighted the legacy of Commander-in-Chief Fidel Castro, stating that he forged a legacy that unites generations in the struggle against domination and for a more just world. Also adding that the Bolivarian people remembers with special affection the Fidel who found in the eternal commander Hugo Chavez a brother in cause, with whom he made possible the materialization of Latin American and Caribbean solidarity integration. The statement by the Bolivarian government closes by stressing that Venezuela reaffirms its unwavering commitment to the ideals that Fidel bequeathed: the defense of sovereignty, self-determination of the people, social justice, and the unity of our America. Also in this context, Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro highlighted the relevance of the Cuban leader's thinking, sharing a message that states that Fidel is not the past, he is a present that continues to write history with a truly impeccable legacy. Fidel loved Venezuela and Venezuela loved him too. He added, we must cultivate the spirit of study, knowledge, and creativity that he left us. The Venezuelan head of state assured that Fidel lives in every struggle for justice and dignity, and his trajectory is the compass that guides us towards the construction of the great homeland, Patria Grande. And Vietnam also honored the legacy of the leader of the Cuban Revolution, Fidel Castro. The commemorative event coincides with the 65th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between both nations. During the celebration, it was recalled that the Cuban leader was the first and only dignitary to visit the Asian nation in the middle of the war against the United States invasion. The diplomacy of the Asian country ratified its support for the Caribbean island in the face of the U.S. economic, financial, and commercial blockade, and stressed its firm position in repudiation of its hostile policy. Meanwhile, in Russia, at the Fidel Castro Square in Moscow, the Cuban ambassador to the country, Julio Garmendia, together with workers of the Fidel Castro Fund, presided over a commemorative act in honor of the leader's 99th birth anniversary. During the ceremony, those present remembered the revolutionary leader and his legacy of solidarity and humanism, which remains in this time almost a decade after his physical departure. Furthermore, Fidel's role in strengthening the ties between the peoples of the Caribbean nation and the former Soviet Union was also highlighted. And now we have a short break coming up, but first, remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you will find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. We continue with more information. The president of Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro, announced the beginning of a crusade against disinformation in view of the discrediting campaigns against the country undertaken by imperialism. During the act of strengthening the Peace Quadrants plan, the Venezuelan president warned that disinformation seeks to manipulate the public opinion. In this context, the president defended the country's progress in the area of security, pointing out that Venezuela has become a regional reference in the fight against drug trafficking. He also pointed out that the Colombian drug traffickers and extreme right-wing sectors had the objective of turning Venezuela into a territory of violence to facilitate the trafficking of substances through national territory.
Así que Ellos tenían una estrategia para llenar.
So, they had a strategy to fill and turn Venezuela into what they turned Haiti. You see what is happening there. You see that the criminal gangs armed and financed by the Colombian drug trafficking and by the United States of America have made ungovernable and have destroyed our sister republic of Haiti. That is how they want Venezuela, and that is how they sold it.
Venezuela. Y así lo vendían. Por eso tiene un gran valor.
That is why what our people have achieved to convert Venezuela in the year 2025 into a territory of peace, coexistence, and harmony, and advancing every day, is of great immense value.
Convivencia, de armonía y avanzando cada día.
And Colombian President Gustavo Petro has called for an urgent meeting of Latin American foreign ministers in order to defend the countries from the U.S. threats. The head of state requested the meeting in light of the possibility that the United States deploy troops to Latin America under the pretext of combating criminal groups. Petro also emphasized, as president of Colombia, that he has been fighting drug trafficking relentlessly, even though he does not agree with the methods implemented by the U.S. government. Furthermore, the head of state claimed that Washington intended to attack Latin America using the same strategy employed by the Israeli regime against the Gaza Strip. And precisely, President Gustavo Petro warned of attempts to undermine relations with Venezuela, which would hinder the progress achieved in the economic, commercial, and even security spheres. More information with our colleague Hernán Tovar in Bogotá.
El gobierno colombiano rechazó el anuncio del presidente de los Estados Unidos, Donald Trump.
The Colombian government rejected the announcement by United States President Donald Trump that the United States Army would combat drug cartels beyond the territory of the United States. President Petro was categorical in pointing out that such a strategy affects the sovereignty of the countries in the region, and condemned the United States government's threats against President Maduro, asserting that any military operation that is not approved by the countries of the region is an aggression against Latin America and the Caribbean.
Pero los Estados Unidos tienen que aprender.
The United States has to learn to respect us.
Creen que por entregar dólares clandestinos como en Pegasus.
They believe that by delivering clandestine dollars as in Pegasus and other operations they have bought Colombians, and if they have done so the Colombian army belongs to Colombia, not to the United States.
De Colombia, no de los Estados Unidos. O si no hay que cambiar el presidente.
En este contexto, el presidente venezolano.
In this context, Venezuelan President Maduro highlighted the achievements made through coordinated efforts with Colombian authorities. These achievements have not only had an impact on the economy, but also on trade, the fight against drug trafficking, collaboration on border security, among others. The Colombian legislature welcomes and reaffirms the importance of mutual protection for both peoples.
De la protección mutua para ambos pueblos.
Aquí lo que hay es países hermanos poniéndose de acuerdo para.
What we have here is friend countries agreeing to move forward with this agreement.
De cooperación económica, los primeros que saltaron fueron la oposición.
For example, when it came to economic cooperation, the first to jump in were those in the opposition, saying that there was a military agreement when it is a public agreement that deals with transportation, trade, and energy transition.
Pero ellos van a hacer todo lo posible para validar la intervención.
But they are going to do everything possible to validate the intervention. And what is even more shameless for Colombians is that today we have an opposition defending foreign countries that are interventionist.
Países foráneos que sí son intervencionistas.
Para algunos analistas, la estrategia de Trump.
For some analysts, Trump's strategy is to keep the region under constant tension through threats against Latin American countries that do not submit to his policy of interference, in order to maintain control of the region's strategic resources, using the war on drug trafficking as an excuse.
Estados Unidos no quiere acabar con el narcotráfico.
The United States does not want to end drug trafficking. In other words, its anti-drug policy is a policy of control, not a policy to end drug trafficking. In fact, it is very useful to it because of the resources of the banks, which are more than welcome in these times of such competition.
En estos momentos de tanta competencia.
Organizaciones populares.
Popular organizations have also spoken out against this new attack by Washington on the region.
Hoy los pueblos de América Latina ya no son.
Today, the peoples of Latin America are no longer the backyard of the US. The concept of sovereignty, independence, and autonomy of peoples is advancing today, and from that perspective, we believe it is important to strengthen Bolivarian integration.
Estos lazos de unidad, de integración bolivariana.
Con este escenario se ha conocido la visita del subsecretario de los
Against this backdrop, the visit of the U.S. Undersecretary of State to Colombia, accompanied by a number of legislators from that country, has been announced. They have met with congressmen from the right-wing sectors. The president has called them traitors given their intentions to overthrow him.
Hernán Darío Tobar Gaitán, teleSUR, Bogotá, Colombia.
We have a second short break coming up. Before, we invite you to visit our Facebook page at teleSUR English. There you'll be able to watch our top stories, special live coverages, and much more. Follow the page and activate notifications to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Final short break. Don't go away. Welcome back to From the South. We continue with more information. In this case, we go to Palestine as the Israeli regime has starved over 100 Palestinian children to death, a figure that could rise as Gaza health authorities confirm more than 500 minors are currently hospitalized due to hunger and malnutrition. In addition, the director of the Gaza Health Ministry, Munir al-Barash, also reported that more than 28,000 people have suffered from malnutrition since the beginning of the year. In this context, the Director of Communications at the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees, Juliet Douma, informed that 1 out of 5 children in the enclave is malnourished, adding that the famine also affects UN personnel working in the enclave. The Tel Aviv genocidal regime has been using starvation as a form of extermination, blocking the entry of humanitarian aid to the Strip. Meanwhile, on Wednesday, Indonesia prepared to airdrop 800 tons of humanitarian aid over Gaza as it urged Israel to immediately open humanitarian access to the area. The 12-day humanitarian mission to Gaza is involving 66 personnel and 2 aircrafts launched from Indonesia's capital, Jakarta. It is slated to stop in Jordan, where it is to proceed into the airspace over Gaza to airdrop the packages by hundreds of parachutes. The Indonesian Ministry of Defense said that the packages contain ready-to-eat foods, medicines, and daily supplies. He said that the mission coincides with the 80th anniversary of Indonesia's independence, and this spirit of freedom will be realized by helping the Palestinian people who are struggling to live in peace and freedom. The authority also urged Israel to immediately open unhindered humanitarian corridors into Gaza. We stay on topic as a vigil was held in the capital of Mexico to protest the murder of the 5 journalists from the Al Jazeera network and an independent reporter during an Israeli attack near the Al-Shifa hospital in Gaza on Sunday. Journalists, activists, and citizens gathered near the Angel of Independence to honor the press members with flowers and candles. During the evening, slogans were chanted to denounce the genocide committed by the Zionist regime in Palestine. As part of the tribute to Anas al-Sharif and his slain co-workers, the organizers of the vigil read a statement demanding that the Israeli government immediately stop the attacks in the enclave and guarantee the safety of press workers. And Typhoon Parul has reached eastern Taiwan, bringing powerful winds with gusts up to 191 kilometers per hour and heavy rainfall, especially impacting the counties of Hualien and Taitung. The The storm's outer bands began sweeping across the region early on Wednesday, prompting urgent evacuations, with nearly 5,500 residents relocated to emergency shelters to mitigate flooding and landslide risks, particularly where natural dams have formed due to previous typhoons. Schools and government offices across southern and eastern Taiwan were closed for the day, and a total shutdown affected 9 cities and counties, including major southern cities like Kaohsiung and Tainan. The typhoon is expected to make landfall near Taitung around noon and then move northwestward across Taiwan's central mountain range, weakening as it passes before heading towards the Chinese mainland coast. The UK is currently enduring its 4th heat wave of the year, with temperatures soaring up to 33 degrees Celsius, prompting the government to declare drought conditions in 5 regions. This marks the driest 6 months to July since 1976, with reservoir levels dropping to 67.7% capacity across England. Farmers are increasingly concerned about the impact on crops as prolonged dry spells have stunted growth, with some lettuces reported to be half their usual size, potentially leading to reduced food availability and higher prices in supermarkets this winter. The UK Health Security Agency has issued a yellow health alert for vulnerable groups due to the hit. And like this, we have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. Also join us on social media. We are on Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok as well. For TeleSUR English, my name is Belén de los Santos. Thank you for watching.